Sometimes before the war, people's shield pops and they hope to get away with it, that people won't notice and they don't have to waste another shield um, or port around for a while. So this is not uncommon to find people now. Winter Storm, just a tip for people too. Um, Winter Storm was just going, which gives you an automatic shield. So if you stay in Winter Storm for a while, um, you can get an automatic shield there for yourself. Sometimes before these wars, you can get some really good scraps going. Um, Other times you cannot. Nobody wants to fight. So really, 70 kind of controls this, to be honest with you. If they stay tight and shielded and they have a specific strategy and they don't want to pop it, they're not going to fall and kind of let us control that. Then um, they can just sit there until 6:59 and not do a thing and let everybody set up and I don't know. Um, I don't. They could not show up at all either. Like there's wars that we've had in the past where servers don't show up, and it gets pretty pretty easy because you're just capturing and you're leaving. So hopefully the fun part of it is when everybody wants to scrap up. Battles you're moving around. If you are, so we can get into strategies for different levels. So let's talk. So we talked on our videos about free to play. So here we are, war strategies, free to play. Um, you don't want to have a wall up. Pretty much, you want to manage it to say the least, but you maybe have, like, let's talk, you are early servers. It's difficult for me to talk about march sizes, because it depends who's going to view the video to take the advice. So I can't really just say, oh, if you have a 30 million march or a 40 million march, it's very difficult to talk about that. I can talk about my current servers and people and what you should be doing by march size, but I'd rather talk about spend levels, because then you can kind of relay that to yourself to know where you fall in, and no matter where you are in the game, you'll be able to adjust with that strategy. So if you're free to play, excuse me, your strategy coming into the war should be you're going to maintain your wall um, for the most part, where you don't have a wall. You are going to be, you can count on being teleported 70 times. Doesn't matter, right? Like the point that you're playing is you're going to target the people that you can. You're going to target your people. I have to get this, because if I don't, then it'll just jiggle the whole time. You have to target the ones that you can, that are low bases, that you can hit, that you know you can beat. Other people, don't forget, people are going to have their teams out. So if you strategize and you watch somebody and you see them send 3 teams out, number one is watch for that gorilla. You see the gorilla go, then that means their first team's out, right? At least in later servers. Again, if you have a gorilla, if they don't, then you're gonna have to do a little guessing game that is their first squad. And you could study in if you come into their war zone, you could study who they are if they're a higher level. If you really want to see, you come in here and click on their rankings, and in their rankings, look to see their strongest hero power. If their strongest hero is air, then their air team is their number one team. If you're looking here, then that's missile, right? So you can judge by that if the person is really powerful. Oftentimes people get too confident and they send 3 teams out, right? Very few people have like insanely strong fourth team. Like, you're talking about elite people. Um, my even mine is probably around mid-tier spending is probably where my fourth is right now. It's strong, but whatever. But what you want to do free to play is you're going to keep nothing on your wall, and you're just going to look for people who have already sent out 3 that are vulnerable, or that you can just scrap with, that are lower level. Because don't forget, if in an exchange, if you have no wall and they try to attack you, their number one is out as well. So if you get a low tier base and their number one has left the base, you can probably handle their number two, or you see that you can port them. So when we get all piled up in here, scrapping and porting little bases is in giant help to everybody in the alliance. If you're free to play and smaller, you play a huge role. You're eating up space. You're keeping people busy and occupied, first of all, because it takes them 10 hits to sit there and port you, which takes time. So if you get a lot of bases that people have to sit there and clear and port, if they're doing that, no matter who it is, whether it's a stronger base, a mid-tier base, a high spender, whoever's doing it has to clear you, they're eating up time that allows somebody like myself to go around and shop and look for other things because you've kept them busy. So free to play in this game, you play an enormous part in participating in what you do along the ways. Everybody just, it's not like I expect free to play to come in and port high level people on 70 during this war. Everybody has their part to play. They just have to know it going in, what you're going to do and strategize. If you're just going to go in there with your wall full and you're going to drop into the base and you're going to get hit 4 times as a free to play, your whole drill grounds are going to fill up. You're not going to have speed ups to clear your hospital. Kind of pointless, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, you drag out the war. Like, have no wall, be in it all day long. And by the way, if you're free to play and you have no troops, pop in there anyway, and just leave your base and give something for somebody to hit, because again, it keeps people busy. You're occupying space. So no matter who it is, if you're out of troops, don't just like, in the war is close or the war is still there, stay in it. Just drop your base. Drop your base right in the front. Drop your base here, right where I'm clicking. Like, have them port you out of there. Take up room. Take up space. You still have a role to play. Okay. So that's free to play. If you have, after the video, you want to keep talking about strategies from even from a free to play perspective, by all means, I love it all day. Mid tier, really, it's the same thing as free to play, or I'm sorry, low spender. Like low spender, you're around the same strategy when it comes to this for free to play. You may be able to tackle a little bit higher bases. Your only way you're going to know where your base of what you can and cannot handle is by actually fighting. Like, you have to be in kill events. You have to be, go play Winter Storm, go play Desert Storm. You're going to know. You fight a little bit. You're going to know who you can handle, who you can't handle. Again, in the beginning of these wars, people are pretty, like, you can click and know their power for the most part because they're filled. All their drill grounds are filled. So you know the maximum everybody is. As you get into the war, it's going to get a little bit more dicey because the power, you're not going to know, are they full? Are they half full? Like, I don't know how many troops they have left. So you're going to have to gauge it based on this in low mid tier, but you're really looking for to take advantage, low spender, on even more people that have their bases out, because odds are you have a little bit stronger power than a free to play, which means you can probably handle somebody's like third team, right? So you got to look into that. Like, if somebody sends their top 2 bases out, and you've been a low spender for a while, you can handle somebody's third team, like, that hangs out I'm going to say generally hangs out in the back here, right? Because a lot of times the front power are people that can hang around and they're a little bit stronger. But in the middle of the packs here is where you'll find the majority of your targets in the back. And yeah, just keep scrapping. And that's what I would say. Again, though, like I said, same strategy for free to play, because you probably don't have a ton of speed ups. You're going to want to waste on hospitals and different things that you can afford to. So from a low spender perspective, I would not have anybody on my wall. Manage your wall by all means. Like, I wouldn't sit there and get ported by, somebody who's going to be, I don't know, like 10 million, or somebody who's just a troll base. You don't want to get ported, right? Like, if that's the case. So manage your base. Like, if you see somebody come and they're small and you can actually handle them, then by all means defend. But what I'm saying is, don't stack your wall and act like a tough guy if you're going to lose all your troops, right? If anything, you can. It's okay to I like to call it test battling. You can do it to a test battle where leave your number 1 in, right? And then have your wall up and see what happens. If you get eaten alive immediately and you're still dropping, then just take it off your wall and don't take the troop loss. Just get ported. And by the way, one thing we need to also mention: free to play and low spender. When you're coming in here, um, you're gonna get teleported out of the war zone. Please use your automatic teleport, and you're gonna have to wait, but don't waste the diamonds. Like you're gonna have to, to move around. It's gonna cost you 1,500 a pop for those, right? And so in a war like this, I have them. I have a bunch of them stocked already. I probably need to go in and grab a couple more, but I was in a hurry to get all this going, so typically out of my strategy. But if you're a free to play and low spender, like you're just use the free teleport in and out, right? Like just don't worry about it. Like you're gonna get ported around 70. Like in this case, like I'm in 70 fighting, right? So you get ported, okay, you're gonna get kicked around the map a little bit in 70 somewhere, port back to your server, and right here, just at the top up here, port back to your server, and then port back in wherever you want, and regroup and refight. And you probably want to hang around a little bit because there is that timer clock to go back and forth. It's like 5 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever. So you do want to kind of figure out and drop in a place where you might not be ported immediately, or it could get frustrating for you. Um, I don't know. It's even if I was in a war and people were attacking me and I was getting killed and somebody was chasing after me and ported me, like being ported is part of the game, even for me at certain stages, and I'm okay with it. Like I really don't mind. It's part of fighting. It's all good. You can't be afraid of being ported in this game. If you're afraid of being ported, you are going to be terrible at fighting. Your ego is going to kick in, and the worst thing you could do in this game is fight with your ego instead of your brain because you're just wasting troops. So let's go to kind of that mid tier spender, right? As we go in mid tier spender, you're probably pretty strong. As you're, with a lot of people's seconds and maybe even the majority of like a back people, the population that I was just talking about, the free to play low spenders, you can port all them. So even when they have their troops in, so you can probably clear their bases, right? So your role actually, as even a mid tier spender, would be to um, try to figure out how you could sneak a few hits into the cannons. We're getting into like kind of cannon capital play with mid tier spenders. Like we want you to really, throw a couple here, but they have to make it here. That's the problem. So you got to be good timing. You got to figure out how you can kind of sneak it in, know where you are when you land. Look at what's happening around you. Is there a lot of activity going on? Right. So mid-tier spender, you can actually do some damage, it can enter capital, only if you can land your attack. So if you're out here, it's going to take you a while to launch. If somebody figures out that your number one is just left and you're trying to do damage, you're going to, by the time you get to the capital, or you're going to get to about here on the battlefield one way or another, and then somebody's going to realize and you're going to get ported, and a lot of good that did, right? Like so sometimes it's a matter of timing. You have to know where you are, who you're around. Are you around a lot of people that are attacking very heavily, strong, or are you kind of in a base of people that you can handle, and you've been there for a little bit, so you're kind of a statue, and your base when you're in one spot for a long period of time, your base kind of becomes invisible to people, where they've seen it, they know you're there, like they know you're there, but they can't, if they determine they can't do anything about it, then they just kind of, you blend in. So if you're blending in for a while, then launch those attacks, get them into the cannon, get them in here. If you can drop in, that's the other thing, mid-tier spender, if you get ported out, because again, you will be ported, that's okay. But when you port back in, try to look for a really good spot around the cannon here, over around these areas, like where I am, somewhere in here. Um, and yeah, like I would say start battling and right into the cannon. Just start launching attacks into the cannon, especially if the group, and don't necessarily pick a cannon that you're winning. Like if it's the other team, it's even better. Like if the other the other Warzone has the cannon, that's where you're really going to do good to jump in and start, you know, banging away at whatever's in there to get it out. Now, that's another thing, though. You also want to look if you're hitting the cannon. The capital you don't have to as much, but when you're hitting the cannons, look who's in there. Like for example, on 71, I have like Hulk, and King and Crazy Deerfly. If they were sitting in one of the cannons and you are popping in and they're in there and you're hitting them, yeah, guess what? Don't, because just move on. That's not for you. Like you're not going to do a lot of damage to them at a mid tier level where like your mid tier marches are going to bang into them and kill like 40 of their troops. No good. That's not your spot, right? And if they're in three cannons, then let them be in three cannons. But like I would say own it, that you can actually get one that you can do damage on. There's plenty. If even in our zone, if I have Hulk owns one and CF's in one and King's in another, there's a fourth one that I can get to, right? And if you feel like you can't do the damage in the cannons because you're not doing well, no problem, send it to the capital. And if you can't launch quick into the capital, then you're back into fighting and scrapping in the middle of the packs. No big deal, right? You're just scrapping. Don't worry about the cannon and the capital. To be honest with you, the cannons are more important than the capital early on, depending on your strategies. I don't know. I don't want to get into like when you should be in the capital, when you should be in the cannon right now. It's a whole nother strategy. I'm more talking about what you should be doing on the battlefield right now. Strategies could determine when and where you should be in the capital. Some people are going to say, hey, early on, we're going to make sure we have the capital until 50%. So who knows? Go by what your president tells you to do, or your alliance leaders, and they'll determine if you should be in the capital or cannons. But for the most part, that's what I would do. Just make sure you're looking at who's in those cannons and hitting. If you're not doing a lot of damage, then just bail on it. And by the way, don't just bail on it forever. You can later, in the wars last a long time. So come back. CDF or Hulk or King, they may have left that cannon. So come back and check it out again and see if you're going to hit it, right? Now, high tier, when we're talking in a high spender, you can really, what you should know what you're going to do before this even starts. I shouldn't even have to have this conversation. This should be, for the most part, this should be telling you already. If you are spending a lot of money to play this game and you are a farmer, I can't help you. Like that's a struggle. You should know at this point how to handle yourself on a battlefield because you have a lot and your team's going to depend on you as a high spender to cover a lot of these areas. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time covering what that is. I'll show through my strategies and what I do sometimes, moving around. But you really need to look at, just to go over, you'll look at basically who's in this war zone. You'll take a look at your power against everybody to know who do you have to look out for. Because you're a high spender, there's only a specific amount of people that can hurt you on this in this server. So you are going to look at that, look at the rankings, figure out for yourself who can actually hurt you, who can't hurt you, so you know from a porting perspective who you need to worry about. Then you want to worry about the next level people. Just know where the power stands, and that way I'm able to tell, can I use my first, or can I use my first squad? If my first squad's out, who can even hurt my second squad? You start getting into that and analyzing. So there's a lot of analytical battle that goes in from a high spender before this war starts. Going in, you have to know that ranking system, the top pretty much 20 people who can hurt you, who can't hurt you, what you need to do. Are you going to need to move? Should you have your wall up? Should you not have your wall up? For the most part, it's not like, for me, I'm not going to manage my wall as much during the war based on the amount of people who's there. More I have to worry about necessarily who's around me or who can hit me or hurt me when I'm letting my first two squads go, my top two squads, because then I might be vulnerable, right? Who knows? Like, you could be vulnerable to be ported. I could be ported by anybody. If I have my three squads out, and I don't have my fourth on the wall, anybody can come in and zero me out. And that's the point, back to the free to play. Here I am, I'm a high spender, and I'm telling you, you can port me. You can port anybody. If you're paying attention to how many squads have left, right? then go. You can, hey, listen, by the way, not for myself, like it's not an ego thing. I'm saying anybody, any high spender, if you're free to play and you get to port me or anybody else, like put that stuff in your profile. That's kind of cool, right? Like you won an attack. It'll still like it'll just say victory over, and it'll show you the high spender, and you can just put that in your profile because I don't know, it's kind of fun, like to be able to say they won't be able to click in the report to tell that it was an empty wall, and you can just tell your tail that yeah, it was a huge screw up in the battlefield and I took him. Who cares? It just says victory over, and it has it. um I know before I came to server 71, I've had like those reports over people like Crazy Deerfly and stuff like that I look at and have that you port somebody that had nobody in their base and it shows you had a victory. So anyway, high spenders, you don't really know. And I wouldn't expect high spenders or, and whales, oftentimes, just to let you know, if you're looking for a whale, I'm not giving advice to a whale. You don't really need to give advice to whales, to be honest with you. Yeah. If anybody seen that video of the store where you just like buy everything that's under the sun, I don't know what advice you really need for it. But what you'll see them do oftentimes is on servers, VIP 18s, high 17s, they'll often pick a spot near a cannon over here somewhere, and they'll camp out. They'll pick that spot and they'll camp out for the entire war. You'll see it. Um, and sometimes, listen, I could tell you it depends on the player. It could be strategy that's happening and not just laziness. So you may look at it and go, yeah, they just spend money, they don't do anything, they have no strategy, they just sit there and they're not going to move. Okay, that could be your feeling on it, and you could see that a VIP 18 is just sitting near the cannon and they're lazy because they don't have to move, nobody can port them, and that's blah blah blah. But also look at it on a flip side, right? There's two sides of every story. It actually could be strategy. Like going in, they could have got together and said, hey, just go to the right cannon and sit there. And that could be kind of what their strategy is. So I would say, like, don't just think that that's all they're doing is nothing. That could be strategy going in, that they're taking up that spot, they're clearing the cannon, and they're responsible for that. So, there's a lot of strategy. Ooh, hold on. Yes, sir. We got action. Yep. Don't know what's going on, but that tells me troops I can take. Somebody probably didn't realize their shield is down and they're getting cleaned out. This is why you shop around. Shop around before the war. Popped into the war zone hoping somebody wanted to fight. They didn't, so now we'll just clean this person out. This person wants to come reinforce, which is good because they're just going to get cleaned out. I rather kind of slow roll it now because I'm already took majority of their troops. Their drill ground is full, and now they're better for reinforcements. If I can get somebody to reinforce them, I can actually claim more people than just porting this person. So I'm kind of slowed it down a little bit. But nobody else is coming. So now they shield. They probably have no drill grounds. Home run, like no, they shield. So let's. We can look at the battle report real quick. But this person, 200,000. Not sure where they land on. That's now because their drill grounds is probably empty. Because I mean, filled their hospital at this point, so they must have had severe, as you could say, in this round. The defending side failed, so you could tell that all these were killed. Their hospital was filled. So they had all their severely wounded were gone, and that's what you want. So if I come in and look at the one like this one, same thing. So they lost 2,200 on this one. And you look at all my reports, eventually their hospital, you got to figure, was probably, they had multiple. It looks like they had two on the wall, so they were losing early on, like they were losing 5,000, let's say 5,500 every time. Started this early, 30, 45 minutes before, because I'm on before. I have a whole war routine. I'm kind of sick in that regard. I love this game for the fact it's called Last War, and I love war. I absolutely love the war aspect of it. Anytime we sorry, see what I mean? Get excited because I got you. Got another one. And this is the first time I'm doing this on the computer because I wanted to make the stream as good as I could. I'm trying to get as full screen as I could. Um, so you'll see me click around a little bit. I'm a little slower to the gun on trying to do this than I usually am. Same strategy, but see what I mean? Misclicking. Oh, shields up. Again, shields up after 7 hits. So if you want to look at that one probably that wasn't. They didn't have two on the wall, I don't think, with that one. But did I get to the hospital? Yep, got to the hospital. So there you go. 1,600 lost already. Who knows out of those other ones how many just they just lost? Because you know what happened. I know the strategy. They're sitting there saying, "Oh, we're only 7 minutes before the war." So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to save that time, and instead of wasting a shield, I'm going to just sit here and hope nobody notices. People notice. No, people will notice. And if they do, ah, this computer misclicking is going to be that to me. All right, this person popped in next to me like they're going to hit me. Cool. Maybe get some action going. Or they just accidentally did that. Yeah, they got nothing left. They got nothing left. All right, we only got a minute, but it's a poor strategy. Like you. The one thing you can't do as the defender is allow the attacker to dictate the terms of the battlefield. You don't want that because already they have the advantage. They can pop in whenever they want, and so what you really want is you want to get there early as defenders and stock everything up and start fighting. Now, I understand for them that they can't really do that because okay, like I get it. Like you have CDF on the battlefield, you can't just have everybody sitting out here because you can clean everybody out. That doesn't mean your strategy is just let this happen because this means the war's over, which maybe they just said, hey, we're not going to fight. What you can still do is land and pick people off during a battle. I can tell you right now that if 70 had recruited me and I was with 70, there is no way QB would not be fighting right now. There's zero chance. Um, I would 100% be fighting. I would have been out here early. I would have been hitting people. I would have been trying to avoid people like CDF and whatever, but I would have been fighting. Still, right? So, okay, I'm taking off. I'm going over here because this is where the action's at, and I'm a sucker for action. So, don't want to see that anymore. This is, but this person and I'm going to send two out. I'm going to leave my first at home just in case. I don't want to sit here and get too cocky with it. So I'll leave my first there. And then I'll try to just see that person's coming at me thinking, hey, you might not have anybody at home, but that's not true. I do. So I'm going to attack both at once. And just, this person's doesn't have, nobody has a wall up, which is fine. But I mean, you can't port people. So look to see who this is coming in hot, coming in hot. All right, everybody, I am going to, at this point, fast forward through the rest of our 70 versus 71 war. It's pretty uninteresting for the rest of it, as far as 70 didn't really show up. But afterwards, I did cut to the war that was going on between 79 and 100, which I am going to save as a different video. So I will fast forward through this war to show you the rest of our action. And then when you're finished with this, you can cut over to our 79 verse 100 video. I'm also going to be adding to the account. Thank you for joining. Hopefully you enjoyed the war tips and look forward to seeing you next week. QB out.
Perfect.